We're highlighting proportional linear relationships. This is coming back from last year. We did proportions last year. But a proportional linear relationship is just one of the couple kinds of special cases of that y equals mx plus b formula we learned last class. This is a sloped formula that's a straight line that passes through the origin. Where's the origin? Zero. I hear 0, I hear middle. Can we be more specific? 0, 0. The coordinate 0, 0, it is in the middle. It's where the x and y axis meet. It is 0, but please call it 0, 0 because that's its actual coordinate. It has two pieces, right? That's the origin. Now, last time we learned about this kind of equation where there's a y-intercept and a slope. So here we have the y-intercept and it would have some sort of slope like this. This is called a non-proportional relationship because did this go through the origin? No, so let's circle non-proportional. That's what we learned about last time. Those would be our y equals mx plus b formulas. Today, one of the special cases we're going to deal with is called a proportional relationship. Because do you notice that this one goes through the origin instead of going through any other point along my y-axis? Yeah, this is called a proportional relationship. This is just the y equals mx part of the equation. There's no plus b. It's a special case of that formula. It's an easier case of that formula in my mind. Now, last year you used the phrase proportional relationship, set up a proportion. You're going to, what's that called? It's an animal that you use. I'm going to call it cross multiply and divide. Butterfly method. Okay, last year you learned about the butterfly method. We're still going to use that. And if you didn't, I will teach you. Is it insect? Insects are animals?
Insects are animals.
But in high school, instead of calling them proportions, yeah. Well, okay. So in high school, instead of calling them proportions, come back to me, folks. We're going to call it direct variation. This is the new phrase we're going to use today. So highlight the phrase direct variation. It is just a proportional relationship. It's just got a fancy high school name. And instead of using mx for m for my slope, technically for direct variation problems, we have a k in the place of an x. And it stands for the constant of variation, which is just fancy words that mean rate of change or slope. But since we don't have a y value or a y-intercept, since it passes through the origin, our m is really represented by a k called the constant of variation.
Why does it start with a 3?
I have no idea. Actually, it comes from physics. It has to do with spring velocities or something like that. I'm using the wrong words here, but there's an actual physical property of springs that uses a k. Now, you are going to see in problems the words varies directly. Do you see here varies directly? Okay. When you see the words varies directly, I want you to do two things. One, highlight it. Two, cross it out. And above it, write divided by. Because varies directly is really just telling me what to divide by. So instead of saying to myself, y varies directly with x, I'm going to say to myself, y is divided by x. It helps me set up my proportions the correct way. Okay? Now, sometimes we're going to be writing the equations for direct variation, which is just finding your k, still divided by. And some of them, we're going to be using them to make predictions for the future, which is our cross multiply and divide, or the butterfly method. If we look at number 1, we're just going to jump right into it, otherwise we spend too long talking about y. It says, if y varies directly with x and y equals 9 when x equals 3, write an equation for the situation. We see varies directly. What do I immediately do? Yes. Highlight it, cross it out, change it to divided by. So I know that whatever I'm given, I'm always going to write it as y divided by x. That's how I find my k, or my slope, or my constant of variation. Well, aren't we given two values here, a y and an x? It would be 9 divided by 3. And what is 9 divided by 3? 3. So guess what my equation is? K is 3. So my equation for this... Originally, my equation, if you look up there in the green, it says y equals kx. Well, I found my k since I did divided by. And so that's my slope. Yeah, easy, right? Yes, ma'am. Now, 90% of the time, though, we're not going to ask you to write an equation. We're actually going to ask you to use the equation. And I think these are even easier. Here's what we know in number 2. It says y varies directly with x. I'm going to go ahead and stop and pause. And what am I going to do with this right here? Highlight, cross out, and write divided by. Divided by. I know y's have to be divided by x's. So then I keep reading. If y equals 3.75 when x equals 15, then what is the value of x when y equals 7.5? Set up your proportion. We know that y is divided by x. Okay. And we know that y's are divided by x's. Okay. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did I just do?
Cross.
No, hold on. I set up a proportion, and I know that it has to be in this order because y is divided by x. Here's a y. Here's its divide by number. And then here's a y. But do I know its divide by number? No. So I have to use... Yes, I have to use cross multiplication and division to figure this out. This is the butterfly method. As that butterfly method. So here, help me out. We multiply this direction. What's 7.5 times 15? 112.5?
Yeah, 112.
And then I multiply on the other side. What's 3.75 times x?
3.75.
Right on. Yeah, y'all are cranking this out. So then after that, I divide by 3.75 on both sides. That's it. Cross multiply and divide. I went really fast, so can I back up and talk through this one more time? So setting it up, not bad. Divided by tells me what to divide by. 3.75 divided by 15, because y divided by x. Then I have 7.5, but I don't know the x it's divided by, so I'm going to leave it. We multiply. We multiply. Finish it off by solving for x. All we have to do is divide. And we'd get 30. It's easy, right? This is a special case. It's just direct variation. It's just divided by. Now, I've got a situation for you here in this word problem. You own a fish tank, and it's got saltwater fish in it. We're trying not to kill our fish. All right? Because if you put the wrong amount of salt or the wrong amount of water in your fish tank for your saltwater fish, yeah, they
Sell the fish.
don't sell the fish. We're going to keep our pets alive, and we're going to solve this problem. It says, the number S of tablespoons of sea salt needed in a saltwater fish tank varies directly with the number of gallons of water in the tank. Pause. Whoa, let's stop reading. And what are we going to change varies directly to?
Division.
Divided by. This is when it's really helpful to know this. Okay, pause and let's reread these questions. What's the thing? What am I talking about before I say divided by? Absolutely. The number of tablespoons of sea salt needed in a saltwater fish tank, and then it's represented by the letter S. That's. It's a S. It's a S. Okay. What's the letter that comes after the word divided by?
With.
W standing for gallons of water. I love that people that said with. I appreciate that because shapes. But we're talking about water here, gallons of water. So I know S is divided by W. That's how it varies directly. That's its proportional relationship. Okay, now we can keep reading. We know this stuff. A pet shop owner recommends that you add 100 tablespoons of salt to a 20-gallon tank. Let's set that part up. 100 tablespoons of salt. Is that an S or a W? And then 20-gallon tank, that has to be my W, right? Okay. How many tablespoons of salt did you add to a 30-gallon tank? The 30 gallons would be S. Isn't the gallons of water? Isn't gallons water? So S over 30. Gallons are on my bottom. Very good. I heard good things. Can you guys solve this cross multiplication and division for me? I'll give you like a hot second. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and solve this one because I think most people are finished. So we cross multiply. That would be multiplying these. That's 20S. Then we multiply these. 100 times 30 is 3,000.
Why do you have to write this out?
You don't. If you don't have to write it out because you can do the cross multiplication and division in your head, that's fine. I'm going to write it out just because that's good for me. I do want you to set up the problem on your paper. So S is equal to 150 gallons of water. Or, sorry, that's tablespoons, not gallons. LOL. Almost killed my own fish. I need to put 150 tablespoons of salt in my fish tank or else my fish are going to go bottom up. Ooh, math is important. We got to keep our pets alive. I would appreciate the units, yes. I'm not going to count it wrong for me right now without units. Eventually, we're going to do some some studies of parabolas in the second semester where I will require units, but for right now, no. But it's a good habit. Hey, we're done with the first part of notes. Go ahead and glue this into your spiral and meet me on that second page. We're going to switch gears to our second type of special case in a minute. So go ahead and take a second to glue it in. The second type of equation that's a special case of y equals mx plus b that we're going to talk about are vertical and horizontal lines. So go ahead and highlight with me the words horizontal and vertical. Those are our two options for the rest of the class period today. We're going to be talking about horizontal and vertical. Which direction is horizontal?
Up and down.
Side to side. You got to think about it like the word horizon. Do you see the word horizon in the word horizontal? And if you ever go watch a sunset descend over the horizon, you're not looking like up and down like this. You're looking side to side across the horizon. Think like Simba and Mufasa talking about the Pride Lands. They're looking at the horizon. And then vertical. Yes, there you go. You got it. Vertical in sports, if you talk about someone's vertical jump, you're talking about how high they can jump up in the air to like shoot a basketball or hit a volleyball or any of the vertical type things, okay? The way I'm going to help us remember this is in the phrase hoi vux. Say that after me. Hoi vux. Okay, hoi vux is actually on your formula chart. It's number, I could be wrong, 18? Can someone look for me?
Wait, what?
Is it number 18? It is number 18. All right. Hoi vux is here on your green piece of paper, which means you're always going to be able to look at it in my class. It is also back there behind on the back wall. You see those yellow pieces of paper? It says hoi and vux in kind of the same direction. Hoi and vux. Oh, thank you. Very nice. Vanna White over there. We have all of the information we need to know about hoi and vux lines in the letters hoi and vux. So yeah, okay. We're rocking it already. Hoi talks about our horizontal lines because it starts with a H. Hoi, the H in hoi is for horizontal. Now, the second letter in hoi is not actually a letter. It's the number 0. So a slope of a horizontal line is 0. I know. I'm the worst. And since the last letter is y, which axis do you think that a horizontal line is going to cross? The y-axis. And in fact, it's like it's got two y's on here because the equation of a hoi line is always y equals some number. Whatever number it crosses the y-axis. Yes.
When can I go to a restaurant?
When we're done with this. This won't take very long. So remember that your hoi information tells you all you need to know about horizontal lines. Now, if you would please draw on the little graph I gave you here. I don't think it copied very well on your notes, but do you see my red line at 1? It's horizontal. So a horizontal line at 1 is represented by this equation, y equals 1. It's a hoi line. It's just y and a number, and that number is 1. So it's a flat line with a slope of 0 at 1. That is literally all the information you need to know about horizontal lines for today.
For real?
Let's talk about vertical lines though. Yeah, vertical lines. These are our Vux lines. Vux lines, V stands for vertical, which means they are up and down. Who remembers what the slope was for a line that's up and down? Undefined. That's what the U stands for. Undefined slope. Undefined. And since Vux ends in an X, which axis is this line going to cross? And guess what its equation starts with? It's just X equals some number, which means that all of the information that for Vux lines is contained in the word Vux. Vertical, undefined. Sorry, I wrote in cursive. And then just to draw this in again, I don't think the line showed up that well. The equation X equal 1.5 here is this vertical line in between 1 and 2, because that's where X is equal to 1.5 at every point. Right? To add to your notes right here, we're going to draw a circle in this open space. We're going to go back over the 4 types of slopes since we've talked about them. What's this slope called? Look at the board.
Positive.
That's a positive slope. It's an incline. It goes up. What kind of slope is this one?
Negative.
A downward slope or?
Negative.
Oh, that's a weird looking negative sign. Negative. What kind of slope was this one? We just talked about it.
Neutral.
Neutral or?
Undefined.
Oh, it's flat. It's a Hoy line. Remember, Hoy is 0. Then we have our Vux line, which means what's its slope?
Undefined.
Undefined. So slope guy is really going to help us out today. He contains all 4 types of slopes: positive, negative, 0, and undefined.
Oh, we got dimples.
He does. He has little dimples on each side. Can I show y'all an embarrassing video of my brother from high school?
Yes!
Right? Okay, so here's the thing. When my brother was in high school, he made these videos for, before, it was called the tax test back in the day. And we watched these videos before we all took the tax test to, like, remember the cool stuff. And he hates that I show it every year because he was embarrassed by it, so I show it every year. Right? Okay, hold on. Let me switch over to that so y'all can see this video. So the gist with horizontal and vertical lines is that we're going to need to be able to graph them and write their equation. But both of those things are very, very simple. The way the notes on the inside are going to work is we're going to go across all 4 of the top before we go to the bottom row. So don't lose me. So I'm on the top right, and I have the very first equation. Go ahead and highlight that first equation so we know which one we're talking about. It's y equal -4. Based on the fact that this says y equals, is this a Hoy or a Vux line? Ahoy. Classic. Which means that this line is going to cross through which axis?
The y-axis.
At what value?
-4.
At every point, this graph should have a y value of -4. So what that means is, since it's horizontal, we go down to -4. We plot a point there because we know it crosses, and then we use our ruler. This is why you picked it up today. We draw a horizontal line.
This is my ruler. Oh my god.
And check it out. We just graphed a horizontal line. It's so quick. You know it has to be flat, which means we're going to write in the slopes on here. Superman just told us that since that bus was flat, what kind of slope was it?
It's
Oh, it's a Hoy. What's the slope for Hoy?
Y equals number.
No, oh my gosh, what's the slope?
0.
Okay, 0. That's it. Can you guys do the second one?
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you like 20 seconds. It shouldn't take us that long. Ooh, I know. All right, we highlight the equation itself. This says y equals 2. Is that a Hoy or a Vux? A Hoy, which means it crosses which axis?
0.
Y.
I'm in Y.
Y at what value?
2.
Okay, so here's where y is 2.
Dang, you got it right.
could have sworn that was the door. I'm going crazy. Do y'all hear knocking too? I'm going crazy. Then with your ruler, you draw a straight line. It's horizontal. Mine's not going to be straight because I walked away from my ruler. Ooh, that was pretty good. There's my straight line. It's horizontal and it crosses the y-axis at 2. What's the slope of this line?
0.
Woohoo, that's it.
If it's X, what would it be going? If it's
Well,
X,
the
what letters
third
in the
one
middle?
it's a
And what letters in the middle?
U.
What does the U stand for?
Undefined.
Oh, you got it. Just like that.
Yeah, we're already halfway done with the next one because Kayla was asking us good questions. We have x equals 0, and since it's x, is it going to be Hoy or Vux?
Vux.
Vux, which means it crosses which axis?
0. Y. I meant X.
It crosses the x-axis at 0. Here's where the x-axis is 0, but we know that this is a vertical line because it's Vux, which means this time our line is going to go up and down. Now, since that middle letter of Vux is U, what's the slope here?
Undefined.
Undefined.
Yeah, the middle letter of Vux is U, so that means Vux have undefined line, or slopes.
I didn't write this before.
You got the fourth one.
You got it, Abby. I'm smart. Okay, I got it.
Is this Hoy or is this Vux? It is a Vux line, very good, which means it's a vertical line. It crosses the x-axis at -3 is on the negative side. And it's vertical, so it's straight up and down. Please use your ruler, unlike me. And what kind of slope?
Undefined.
Undefined. Undefined. Questions, comments, concerns before we try some more?
No.
Yes, Miss.
What's up? Hey, while she's thinking, go ahead and try the bottom left two. So these two down here. I want you to try these two on your own. And then pause. Don't try to go to the next ones yet. So if we're looking at this one, this second one is x equal 2. Is this a Hoy or a Vux? A Vux line, which means it crosses the x-axis at 2. This is where the x-axis is 2. And it's a vertical line. Please use your ruler even though I'm not. What's the slope of this line?
Means U.
What's the U stand for? Undefined. Undefined. No, undefined.
Yeah.
How about this third or this next one? Is this a Hoy or a Vux? It's Hoy. Ahoy, matey. It's Hoy, so it crosses which axis?
The Y-axis.
At
0.
Very good. This is where the y-axis is 0. And since it's Hoy, it's a horizontal line. What's the slope of this line?
0. 0.
The flat one? Yeah, remember, Hoy right here is going to tell us what the slope is. The middle letter says the slope. All right. Now, I've got some really good questions about these other two. And I think some people are already thinking the right way. These we're going to work backwards on. Because did I give you the equation? No, I didn't. But I gave you other pieces of information. I told you this one crosses the x-axis at 3, 5. If it crosses the x-axis, what kind of line is it? Hoy or Vux? Oh, snap. So check it out. We already know that this equation has to start with x. Sweet. We also know that it has to go through this point, 3, 5. Coordinate pairs we can plot. So we're going to plot the point 3, 5, which is kind of at the top of your graph. 3, 5. And we want it to be a Vux line, so am I going to draw it straight up and down or flat?
Straight up and down.
Right on. All right, well, here's my graph.
Oh, shoot.
What's the equation?
Undefined. I done ruined it wrong.
The slope is undefined. Okay, cool. Let's write that down. The slope is undefined, but what's the equation of this line?
X equals.
What does x equal?
5.
You sure?
0.
0. 3.
Why y'all get
Whoa.
5?
6.
Now we're just yelling stuff. Look at the coordinate here. What's the x value?
3.
So x equals?
3.
Oh, snap. Plus, if I drag my finger along this line at any point, here, I'll drag it on here so you can see what I'm doing. If you drag your finger around this line at every point, isn't the x value 3? At no point do I go anywhere but 3. That means it's a Vux line. Let's look at the next one. I still didn't give you the equation, but what did I tell you? It crosses the y-axis, which means it has to be a Hoy line. Now, what point does it have to go through as well?
0.
3, 5. It does have a slope of 0. It will have a slope of 0, so we can write that down. But it goes to the point 3, 5, and if it's a flat line that goes through this point, doesn't it have to be up here?
Yeah.
And what's that y value? At every point along this line, the height or the y value is 5. No matter where I'm at, it's always 5. That's what this equation tells me. Okay. Now, we're going to call notes it for today, but before you put them away,